Well, I'll let Rick take over and he can do the intros and everything.
Thanks, Paul. So my name, guys, Rick Thompson. I'm here in Central Ontario, and so give you a little bit of history. Quite a few of the guys on the call here tonight are sort of buddies of mine, contacts. Many years ago, I had the great experience of hooking up with Ryan Beckmanis down at Queen's University, and through Bob Vespasiani, a guy who lived locally here just before he retired. We spent a few years ago down at Carleton Ravens camp, and I met up with Chris Colson and JP Aslin and Sean Hall, the guys that are on the call here as well tonight. So it's kind of comes full circle. We're sitting around reading some news articles, and I said, we're all getting sick of COVID, want to get some stuff going. So I reached out to a few of my football buddies locally here in the Peterborough, Central Ontario area. And Gabe Robinson, Jim Cooper, a couple guys played pro, some high school guys I've coached with. And we just kind of started to meet. Warren Goldie, right? He's started up the CJFL team. And so we just got chatting football. I reached out to JP, him and a few of the unit CIS guys have jumped on. Paul Charbonneau last year, as many of you know that are on this call, have presented with him. I just kind of cold called him, emailed him, and we met one Saturday. And so for about the past 2 months now, we've been meeting every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, and we spend a couple hours just debating different topics. And probably about mid-January, we decided to come across this topic of zone run and the zone blocking schemes and stuff like that. And the guys, the pros that are on this call and all the coaches know how big a topic that is. And so with Paul Charbonneau finally getting back across the border, getting through his 14-day quarantine and minus 27-degree temperatures, he's finally back and hooked up here. So he's going to sort of start things off. This is the first time that we've actually done the full roundtable. This whole thing has been designed around guys being able to chat, because as many of you know that have been to coaching clinics, a lot of you have presented at those. It's one guy talking about his thing, and then you never really get a chance to chat. So tonight we're going to sort of open up the whiteboard. Guys are going to have free reign to ask questions. I know a lot of guys on here have some really good questions, and we'll kind of see where it goes. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Paul Charbonneau.
Well, it's great to have you guys all on. Looking at, we've got YouTube Live going tonight too. We already got some people asking questions. Great stuff. We'll get to those questions once we get to the panel. What I'll do is I'll open up with a presentation, just kind of going over just an overview of the zone run game. Then I'll hit kind of the mid zone because a lot of the principles from that are going to carry over. I can see from the questions here, we already got a shout out to Mr. Sutton from Akron, Ohio. So he's the famous Mr. Sutton from Ohio. So when you're Mr. Ohio, people know who you are. So
it's a prestigious award, man. I appreciate it.
But yeah, so if you have questions, you guys that are in the Zoom, when we get to that part, you guys can unmute and ask your questions. And if you're watching on YouTube Live, just go ahead and type in the questions, and we'll try and run through them. And then any of the ones we don't get to, maybe we can send you guys some emails or something with the answers to those. So, and I'll try and keep admitting guys to through the waiting room here. Let me share my screen. All right, so you guys should have the slide now.
We're seeing your poster, Paul.
Perfect. All right, so inside zone. Okay, the overview for tonight's talk. Okay, so the zone run game. I'm just going to touch on quickly what I call outside zone, wide zone, mid zone, tight zone, and the zone read RPO, which is kind of turned into a little bit of dual blocking now. Okay, but the what I'll hit is going to be the mid zone part. Okay, so overview. Okay, so this is how I teach it. Doesn't mean that that the other ways of teaching it are wrong, but it's just the way I do it. If it's different than your way, it's everybody does it different ways, so it's all good. So there are many different opinions on zone names, aiming points, and footwork. Okay, and then the thing that's most important is you got to be consistent in your teaching of your method and believe in that's the most important thing. Okay, so just hitting outside zone. Okay, to me, outside zone is 3 yards behind the tight end is the aiming point for the tailback. Then we'll jump to wide zone. Now you're a little bit tighter. So now you're going inside leg of the tight end. Wide zone is also very good to run to the open side. If you've got a left tackle like Big O playing for you, and he'll talk here shortly, but he's pretty good at opening up that front side B gap. So that's always nice to have. Okay, and then we get into mid zone. All right, so now with mid zone, all right, your aiming point is your inside leg of your play side tackle. All right, and then going in from that, okay, now you got tight zone. All right, aiming point's the inside leg of the play side guard. Okay, more of a downhill, excuse me, more of a downhill run play. All right, now you get the zone read RPO. Okay, this can be exactly the same as the tight zone in terms of how you block it up front. Okay, the thing that changes up is when people use more of a duo approach to it, where you take the ball and get vertical with it. When I had Sut and Rutley in Montreal, we had more of the duo approach. We took the ball, we got vertical and ran down the rails right now. And it does change up how you block on the backside. So you are more vertical on your blocks, but if you watch LSU film or anything like that, you'll see that it's a lot more of a vertical run play than anything getting across the backside of the center, chasing the center's block, all that stuff. Okay, all right, public service announcement. Okay, so regardless of what aiming point or name you use, all right, the offensive line, the tight end, the running back need to be on the same page and teach it the same. So on the call here tonight, I got Chris Sweet. I was the running backs coach in Montreal for a year, and Sweeter was the O-line coach. We were together all the time talking about how, how we're approaching things, how we're going to block up fronts. That way, when I got into my meeting with the running backs, I was teaching it the same way he was going to be teaching it with his guys. It just allows you to marry things up and more success in the run game. Okay. And then if you haven't heard Coach Wiley speak before, you'll hear about the angle of departure. Okay. It's got to match your running back's path. Okay. So if it's a wide zone, you're going to be wider in your angle departure. If it's tight zone, you'll be a lot more vertical with it. Okay, all right, so now going back to mid zone. Okay, so you can see here, it's the inside leg of the play side tackle, but I put these arrows on here so you can see how it's, everybody's on the same path, right? So whether you take a lead step or you take a drop step to start your path off, it's all, depending on how you teach it, as long as you're consistent, it can all be great for you. Okay, so just hitting up. I'm not a quarterbacks coach, but I'll just tell you quickly about how I teach it. So from under center, quarterback would take the snap, and then he would open either at 5 or 7, depending on which way the ball is going. And the exchange should occur roughly on his third step, all right? And then continue to boot away, okay? That obviously changes depending on if it's split zone or not, if you have to hold up on the backside defensive end, all right? So from pistol, changes it up a little bit. Okay, now QB, same thing, is going to open up at 5 or 7. Okay, and then exchange should occur either on the second step or 1.5 steps into it, and then continue to boot away depending on if you have a fullback in or not. Okay, now hitting at the running back. All right, so the depth of the running back. Okay, so if under center, I like it at 7 yards deep for the running back. And then if he's in pistol, I like his heels at 8 yards. All right. Aiming point, inside leg of the play side tackle. Okay. Steps. Okay. Crucial for the zone to work. Okay. QB under center. Okay. I go with open. So he takes a little bit of a drop step. He crosses over. Okay. And then point is, when I say point, that foot's going back down and getting right down onto his aiming point. So we do gain a little bit of lateral width to start the play, and then we get a little bit more downhill from under center. Okay. In pistol, it's slightly different the way I teach it. All right. So we open. So basically take a drop step, and then our second step points at the inside leg of the play side tackle. Okay. And then, like, again, steps have to be consistent with the offensive line. Okay. So for the read, all right. So you got your aiming point and your read are two different things. Okay. So your aiming point is your inside leg of your play side tackle. Your read is your first down lineman past the center play side. Okay. So I used to teach it where we would start our read from the first guy. And then, so if the tackle right in this picture right here played out to the offensive tackle and to the tight end, if he started playing out, then I would get his eyes to the nose. And then the one nice thing when you're coaching in the CFL and you've got some really smart players, you start to ask them, like, tell me how you truly see it. So one day Sutton and I were talking about the zone run game, and I asked him, like, can you actually, after you take your eyes from your initial read, can you actually get your eyes to a next defender and read him? And his answer was great. He said he goes from his initial read, and then it opens up to that side. So if if that tackle spikes right now, then he goes big picture out to the tight end side. All right. If the tackle continues to widen with the guard, all right, now he'll go big picture back and then make his read from there. He says it's very tough to get the focus really tight on it. And Suddy, I'll let you expand on that later if somebody wants to ask more questions on that. Okay. And then, so in an odd front, I do teach it that it's the first down lineman past the center, so I don't have him read the nose, just so we create width and we don't find ourselves getting too tight on it, just so we end up marrying up with our O-line's path, because that front side guard is going to travel to try and help out the tackle. So we don't want that Mike front side to trigger, and if we don't have the right path with our running back. Okay, in an under front, now he's front side. The nose is front side on the center, so we will be reading him. I'd be interested to hear from Rut and Sut on that if they truly ever looked at it that way. So, and they can be honest now because I'm not coaching.
Oh, I can tell you. Oh, I can tell you now that the shade. Okay, when we started it, we still read the end.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I wanted to know if they would still treat it like the 5.
Because of the width of the back, we still read the 5 technique.
Yeah.
Those guys showed up. We had a shadow cut behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so to start the play off, all right, communication. All right, center declares the front. So when you got a center like Dom coming up, he'll come up to the line of scrimmage. He'll declare whatever the front is, and because of the O-line's all in tune, they know kind of roughly, as soon as he says what the front is, we'll be able to have an idea of what his call is going to be. All right, then he declares his block. So if he's going front side on a nose, he might call the guard to work with him. He might make a gap and then make the number ID of whatever linebacker he's working to. Okay, so communication starts inside out with this play. Okay, combo blocks, we'll attempt to get as many combo blocks as possible. And then, and because of the quarterback, the guys will be able to know how thick or thin they'll be on those blocks. Okay, and then so for the steps, okay, crucial for the zone to work. First step sets up the angle of departure. All right, so whether you're a drop step or a lead step guy, okay, and then we'll give up. I teach you guys to give up ground. I do take a drop step. Okay, it opens up our hips to the play. All right, and then the running back, I want the running back to use the same step and mirror it, so we're all on the same angle. Okay, you can take a lead step. It's not wrong, just different method than what I do. Okay, second step replaces the power base. Okay, in your power base. All right, so something that you don't even think about. Okay, for your power base, if you go to the bathroom, all right, you have to sit down in the toilet. Whatever you naturally get into, that's your power base. All right, whatever you put your feet at when you drop down, that is your most comfortable position. All right, so if you're a bigger guy like me, sometimes some of these public stalls, you change up your base a little bit. But okay, the rest of the steps should continue while maintaining the power base. Okay, if I was teaching young guys, okay, I would definitely emphasize maintaining a power base all the way through, and with inexperienced players as well. Now with older guys, more experienced group, okay, I would consider the following. All right, the second step would drive through the crotch of the defender. Okay, so if I'm taking that step, I want to drive it through the crotch, almost kneeing him, and then this method allows the players to be a little bit more aggressive. Okay, if you're going with a fullback, all right, okay, so when I'm under center, I want his heels at 4 yards. Okay, when I'm in pistol, I'll try and get his heels at 5 yards. Okay, offset by the tag. Okay, aiming point. Okay, on lead zone, he would read the play side tackles block and then take path of least resistance to the alley defender. Okay, and then in a split zone, he'd be coming back across, and then he'd be going to the inside leg of the play side of the backside tackle, sorry, and block the first defender that shows up outside of him. All right. Here's my contact info. If you ever need to get a hold of me, you can reach out to me on Twitter. You can email me at my Gmail account there. Okay. And then, so let me just get into the guys right now that are going to be presenting. All right. So first guy up, we got Phil Blake. All right. Current offensive lineman for Toronto Argonauts. Okay. He's got his old Sask jersey on in this picture. Okay. All right. Javon Olafue. All right. Also known as Big O. All right. Retired CFL offensive lineman and current high school head coach. So if any of you recruit the Detroit metro area, all right, Big O's got some good looking players. You want to reach out to him and hit him up. Okay. And then Dominic Picard. Okay. Dom is a retired CFL offensive lineman and is now the head coach at CJEP in Quebec City. And so if you recruit Canada, you want to hit up Dom. He's definitely going to have some guys coming out of there. He just took over the program. Okay. Brandon Rutley, retired CFL running back. Rut just recently retired. Probably the best dressed guy out of all these guys that are on tonight. And if you need any advice on that stuff, it's actually what Rut's company is. So you can reach out to him and Rut will be able to help you dress yourself properly. And he does have a pretty nice line of clothing as well. Okay. Terrell Sutton, retired NFL and CFL running back. Sut as well, just retired recently. I think, Sut, you're going for the mayor of Montreal soon. Is that what you're working towards?
Something like it. You know, if that checks on the immigration process, absolutely.
Yeah, all right. And then last but not least, Coach Wiley. He's the offensive line coach with the Ottawa Red Blacks. Wiles has coached CFL and NFL and all over college. Wiles is my mentor. I've had the opportunity to guest coach for him a few times and to be his assistant line coach for a couple of years. Love listening to Wiles talk. Has great insight, and he always tells me I stole everything from him, and I absolutely did. Love the way Wiles does his stuff, and that's why I try and mirror it as much as possible. So without further ado, we'll jump into, I'll stop my screen share and we'll start going with the guys on that. Go ahead, Rick.
Great job, Paul. So I think probably one of the biggest things, maybe Coach Wiley, will start with you is just for some of us younger high school coaches or guys coaching younger, what's your first place you're going to start with your offensive line and talking about some of those targets for their first steps?
First place I'm going to start is you got to get them in their base. You got to get them in a stance. That's the very first place that I'm going to start with those guys. And you know, now how far do you go back with them and how complicated you want to get with them, you know, because I always gave the guys a progression that they needed to follow, okay, right? Because when they get a play in the huddle, whatever you call that inside zone play, okay, it doesn't matter to me, right? I've been around so many teams, it's all different. But you're running the inside zone play. We'll just say we're running the mid-side, because that was my favorite one, where you to the inside leg of the tackle, right? The quarterback calls the play in the huddle. As soon as that happens, okay, the offensive linemen, matter of fact, I think everybody on offense, they got to start asking themselves, okay, who do I have to block? That's the very first question that they have to do. So if I'm going to start with them, coach, right, they got to understand the mental side of the game. Okay, one way, you know, that they got to, because if they don't understand that, forget the technical side. Okay, So you gotta understand, who do I have to block? Number one, who do I have to block? Okay. Right. Second thing they're gonna do is they're going to, okay, right? The second question is, okay, what can a defense do to me in the configuration that they line up in? Because half the defense, half the offensive line only sees one picture when they come to the line of scrimmage. The other half of the offensive line, they only see another picture when they come to the line of scrimmage, right? And the center has to kind of put it all together, right? They have to put it all together, right? Right. And then the third thing, so what can the defense do to me? The configuration that they line up in, right? And then the third question they have to ask themselves is, how am I going to get the job done? You know, what line call am I? What foot am I going to step with? Right foot, left foot, where do my eyes go? Where do my hands go? Okay, am I working with the center? Am I working with the tackle? The tackle, am I working? You know, well, how's this all going to take place? Well, you know, what are the line calls going to be? You know, so, you know, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get the job done? And they organize their thoughts on the way to the line of scrimmage, not when they get there. Okay, when they get there, it's too late. Okay, the ball's coming up, too much information at them, right? So on the way to the line of scrimmage, right, they find the safeties. They're looking for the safeties. Safeties are going to tell you what's going on now. CFL is a little easy because there's only one safety. NFL is a little difficult because there's two of those guys, okay? Right, so you're trying to find the safety, okay? And he's going to tell you what's going to really happen in the front. So you're trying to stay ahead. You're trying to stay ahead of the defense. Okay, by finding it and then you get really sophisticated with it. You take a line, imaginary line, and you draw it from the safety to the back to your side to the nearest down guy, right? Back to the safety, and you got a triangle. And that triangle really tells you what's going to happen in that defense. Okay, so you have to start that progression with them, okay? To have some type of thought organization going to the line of scrimmage and then answering the questions going to the line of scrimmage and then seeing, right, what the defense is, okay? Your eyes are going to be all over the field, right? Right, and then they start picking out spots that they're going to go down to, okay? And eventually the last guy that they look at before the ball snapped is the guy they're going to block, right? This is my guy. I got to block this guy, okay? Now, I don't know, Paul, if you want me to go through how I number the defense or to get to the right people, that's a whole nother conversation.
Well, so that is the next question is covered or uncovered rules or count system.
Okay, I use a count system, okay? And all the count system does, guys, it allows you, right, to go to the right people. All right, like I'll say the tackle, you always block number 2 in his own place. In Canada, like the tight ends in the States, they always block number 3. The tackles always block number 2, okay? Right, the guards block number 1 and the center blocks 0. So we come to the line of scrimmage and the first thing we do is identify who the Mike linebacker is. We just want to know who that guy is, period. Doesn't mean he's a 0 guy, doesn't mean he's number 1, just means that he's the Mike. Because I need to know the next guy outside of him, whoever that guy is, doesn't matter if that guy's the Sam. And the next guy on the other side of that guy, let's say it's a right formation, right? On the other side of that guy's the Will. Doesn't matter who he is. Could be a defensive back. They could have 14 defensive backs in the game. Doesn't matter. Whoever that guy is the Will. So I got to have that perception of where those guys are. Okay, now, okay, who's the 0 guy? Well, if it's 4-2 defense, and the sun is uncovered, right? Right. Then when the center, right, when the center points to that guy, right, he says Mickey's, you know, he's telling you that the Mike linebacker, okay, is 0. He is 0. Okay. Now the next guy in the line of scrimmage is number 1, right? The next guy is number 2, right? And the next guy outside of that, whoever that guy is number 3, the Sam. Right, so we just identified that side of the line of scrimmage. On the back side of the line of scrimmage, right, the will linebacker would be 1, right? Will linebacker would be 1. Next guy's 2, right? And the next guy's 3 on the tackle, backside tackle, outside of him. 1, 2, 3. Okay, simple, very simple numbering, not complicated. Okay, it's
If
not.
you can count to 3, Wiles.
Right? If you can count to 3, you can play for me. And if you ever saw my offensive line manual, everything in my offensive line manual, okay, is based on stuff that you did when you were 4 years old. So, right, they say, hey, little Johnny, right, count to 10. I don't want you to count to 10, Johnny. I just want you to count to 3. Start with 0, okay? I don't want, right, if the backside line calls A, B, C, D, okay? Right, little Johnny, say your A, B, C, D. You know, I only want you to go up to D. You don't have to go to Z. Just get to D. I'll be happy. Okay, those are the backside line calls. You know, the front side line calls are ace, 2, straight, quad, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, hey, you know, all the protection calls are based on rights and lefts. Roger, Louie, Roy, Lou, Ron, Lon, Riggin, Liggin, right, left. Okay, little Johnny, show me your right hand, show me your left hand. So if you're one of my players and you can't figure out this stuff, then you probably can't play because you're too dumb. Okay, period. Okay, so that's pretty
Right, so
blatant. So now you get the line call. Now, here you go. You come to the line of scrimmage, 4-2 defense. Hey, there's 0. Center saying, hey, that's my guy. Right guard saying, hey, this is 1. This is my guy. Right tackle saying, hey, this is number 2. This is my guy. Okay. All right. Now, the line calls just clear up the gray area. They clear up the gray area. So let's just say you come to the scrimmage and the guy on the right guard is a 2 technique or a 1 technique. He's on the inside shoulder, maybe head up. But the linebacker, okay, is stacked over that guy or maybe outside of that guy. Well, the son is going, well, how the hell am I going to get to that guy? That's my guy, but he's over there. Well, now he has to work with the guard. Okay, so they make a call where they work together to take 1 to 0, 0 to 1. They're working that scheme right there. And the tackle's got 2. That makes sense? Okay, that's a pretty simple thing to do. That's not hard. So the numbering system allows us to go to the right people. I'm trying to make it as simple as I can. It allows us to go to the right people, and the line calls clear up all the gray areas. Like that under defense, Paul showed you with that shade. Okay. Well, if that shade's if that center's having a hard time blocking that shaded nose, okay, then he makes a line call. Okay, it's 0, that's his guy, right? He makes a line call, right? That tells the guy, hey, you slow down and give me a hand here, and then you can go, right? Right. Then you can go on your course to get to where you need to be, right? So there's different things we want to do. So if the center's uncovered, okay, usually the Mike linebacker becomes 0. When the center's covered, 0, right? Let's say you got a 32 defense, right? You come to the line of scrimmage and the center's covered, right? And the guy over the right guard, that guy's the Mike, okay? He's the Mike. That's fine. I don't care. That's the Mike. But he's not 0 now. You see the difference? 0 is the nose guard because the center's covered. So when you're covered, I'm the center. He's 0, right? The Mike now becomes 1. The defensive end now becomes 2, right? Center saying, I got 0. God saying, I got 1, right? Tackle saying, I got 2. Hey, well, how are we going to get this figured out? How are we going to get this blocked? The guy's too much on a shade, may make a Philly call, right? If the tackle's on a 4-eye, right? We maybe need the guard to go slip, okay, with the tackle, all right? So there's different line calls that we use, right, that help us with blocking the defensive front, okay? So that's how we kind of put it together, right, before I even start, right, what they're going to do when they get to the line of scrimmage, okay? Now they get to the line of scrimmage, right? We have different positions for them. They're either on the ball, they're off the ball, or they're back. Now, in Canada, it's kind of easier for us. You know, in the NFL, right, I needed to get space between them, okay? I needed to get that neutral zone extended, okay? Or I needed more space between the offensive lineman and the defensive line. So we moved the offensive line back. They can line up a little bit deeper on his own place, okay? Right? In Canada, you don't have to do that because it's nice that the defensive line lines up a yard back. Okay. Right. So they kind of take care of that problem for you. So all we kind of do is get up on the football. Take all the ball until the official moves you back. Okay. Usually they'll back you up a little bit. Say, hey, guy, get back a little bit. Don't be offside. Right. So that's the first. So now you got your splits. Now, I haven't blocked anybody yet. Okay. So now, okay, they come to the line of scrimmage, right? 2 foot split. Sometimes it's 18 inches. Sometimes it's 2 feet. Okay, depending on what they need to get the job done. The tackles always maintain the integrity of the width, okay, of the offensive line. Does that make sense? They don't move. Okay, so when they come to the line of scrimmage, they know where they need to be. If anybody's going to move, it's the guards. So if I need to have the guard work a little bit more with the tackle, he may cheat over to that side. If he needs to work with the center, he may cheat over to the center. Okay, I don't care. The defense going, what are you running over here? No, because I do the same thing in protections. I do the same thing in draw plays. I do the same thing with the screens, with the out of pocket protections. So there's too much stuff for them to try to figure it all out. Okay, so I put the guys in the best position I think they need to get the job done. Okay, now we get to the line of scrimmage. We've got all that information, coach. Okay, and now. Okay, I'm going to put my hand on the ground. I get to the line of scrimmage and I put my hand on the ground. All 5 fingertips are on the ground. None of that fucking bullshit with the fingertips, that pro bullshit. Right? You watch my lines play, right? They're 5 fingertips. I don't care if you're a 10-year, I don't care if you're Joe Thomas. You're putting all 5 fingertips on the friggin' ground when you get down in your stance. Okay, so you want to put your hand on the ground, you're going to have 5 fingertips in the ground. Okay. So now we're going to teach them the base stance that we need. I really believe man's been on the planet for 200,000 years. 200,000 years. The first carbon dated fiber of man. Okay. The body still works the same way as it did 200,000 years ago. Now, some of us, it may look different. Well, some of us may look different. Some of us may look the same as we did 200,000 years ago. But the joints in the body still work the same way, okay? So I want to line them up with their power angles and their joints in the best position that they can create the most amount of power, right? And be most efficient, right? And create the most amount of speed. They don't always need speed coming off the ball. Does that make sense? They don't always have to come off the ball full speed. That doesn't. They need to be controlled when they're coming off the ball. They need to find what the defense is trying to do to them when they're coming off the ball. If you just fire straight off the football and the defense moves, you are going to miss them. You are going to miss them. So they're under a controlled release on the proper departure angle from the line of scrimmage, starting with the first step, okay? But what I'm trying to tell you is the way their body works, right? Elbow in, thumbs up, okay? Thumbs up or out, thumbs up or out. Knees, right? Just slightly inside of the ankles. They don't have to be way in there, just slightly inside of the ankles. Your feet point. If I tell everybody here to stand up and put your feet, and just stand up and stay there, I will bet, right, that 9 out of 10 of you guys, your feet will be like this. They won't be like this. If you put your feet like this, these are things that I do with my players. If you put your feet like this and you try to turn your hips are locked. You just lock your hips, okay? You just lock your hip. You don't want to do that. You want your feet like this. So if the defender slants or angles, you're able to step, and then now you can adjust. You can step, now you can adjust, okay? So you have to get their bodies in that type of position. The other thing is, when they're in their stance, they have to relax their muscles. They're not tight. God, don't get them tight in their stance, right? Because what happens if they get too tight in their stance? I watch guys, their hands are so tight. They got right? When you go to move, you have to release your muscles, relax your muscles to go someplace, okay? Well, start them off in a relaxed position to begin with so they can just go. They just leave. You know what I mean? Now you got your weight body distributed. So where's my weight? Well, if I got to step with the right foot, my weight is what? On my inside, on my left side. If I have to step with my left foot, well, my weight's more on my right side. You know, now let's go back to Paul's first step, the part with the angle stuff. Okay. When I teach them, I start it with the first step. You take your first step. On that one step, that very first step, I can't get it much simpler to you guys. Whether it's a lead step, lateral step, drop step, I have all those, and there's certain places where you use them and there's certain places where you don't. Okay, that's a whole nother dissertation. But whatever one you use, when that step goes on the ground, your weight is on the inside of that thigh, it's on the inside of that calf, and it's on the inside of the arch of that foot. Okay? That's where your weight is going, right there. Your center of gravity is staying down the middle of your body, right? If that knee goes over the ankle or goes outside the ankle, the second step is going to cross over too far. That's going to happen the way the body works, okay? So that very first step, okay, you see what's happening to the body, okay? The next thing that's happening is your butt is going to lower because you're widening your stance, so your butt's sinking down, okay? That's good, okay? So now your butt lowers and your shoulders are going forward, not up. Your shoulders are going forward, okay? And your hands now are coming right from the ground. They're not winding up if the guy is right on me. Right now, in the CFL, my guys their hands come up a little bit more because of the space between the defenders. So they have to set their hands and then they can shoot them. If they shoot them from the line of scrimmage, they're going to get overextended, okay? So there's a timing that they have to learn because of the space of that guy. He's not right on their noses like they are on the other side of the border, okay? They're not right up on a line of scrimmage on those guys, okay? So that all has to be taught, okay? I'm just talking about the first step, right? So you see how the first step and the first angle that they need, because the number one thing in offensive line play is your angle of departure from the line of scrimmage. I don't care if it's run or pass, doesn't matter. If you leave the line of scrimmage at the wrong angle, right, you're behind on the block. And there's only very few guys on this planet that can make that up. The Anthony Munoz's, the Joe Thomas's, the Gene Mikowski's, there's only very few of those guys that are out there that can make that shit up, okay? Right, so when you're leaving the line of scrimmage, you better have the correct, proper departure angle. Right now, I'm just talking about the first step. I haven't changed if I could break it down farther than the first step, I would. That's just the first step, okay? Right now, you got to get into the second step, okay? The second step. The second step's going to go on the ground, right, as quickly as I can get it there. All 7 spikes are going to be in the ground, okay? I'm going to get my feet on the ground. Short steps, write this down. Short steps are better than long steps. It's the only time in your life where you hear short is better than long, okay? Right? So that second step, you're going to get on the ground as quick as you can. Get it on the ground, okay? Right? Your eyes, your aiming point is 1 inch outside the sternum of the defender. 1 inch. Do I know what that is? No, can I tell you? No. But I want your helmet on that side of the defender, right? If I tell you to put it on a number, you dumb son of a guns will put it outside too far. So I say 1 inch outside the sternum of the defender, I usually get the helmet where I need to get the helmet, right? And I changed helmet in my offensive line manual. I don't really talk about, I do it here for you guys, but I talk about the line of force now. I try not to use the term head or helmet okay? The line of force, right, is a line that runs right through the middle of your body. If you stuck a broomstick from the top of your head and it went out your butt, right, where the part that comes out the top of your head, that's where your line of force is down the middle of your body. You want to put your line of force on that landmark. That's what you want to do. You want to get that line of force on that landmark. So does that make sense to everybody? I'm still in the first, right now, let's get the second step. Okay, you get it on the ground. I'm trying to step, I don't want to step on the guy's inside foot. I don't want to do that. Okay, I want to step in the direction of the guy's inside foot and to be more detailed, actually the big toe of the guy's inside foot. That's where I want that direction of that second step to go. Okay, so now my feet go 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, right? Because they're short steps, I can control and I can adjust faster if he starts to move. If I take long steps, right, the second step is on the ground too long, right? The guy moves, you're going to have problems. Okay, short steps, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm making contact on or just after the second step. When I make contact, okay, my feet are just underneath my hips or slightly behind my hips. Okay, my shoulders are still going forward. Okay, now I'm making contact with my hands first and my line of force follows. My hands come first with my thumbs up. Okay, and where do my hands go? I always get that question. Where do my hands go? Well, let's just say the guys, Adam and Eve. Remember Adam and Eve? Those two guys, two people, Adam and Eve. Okay, well, God created man, then he created woman. But when he created woman, he took a rib out of man, right, and gave it to women, right? So we got one less rib than the women do. Okay, right? Now, erectus for the whole eternity, but that's what happened. Okay, and it started off with those two. Now there's 7 billion people in the world. What do you think they've been doing? Okay, started off with 2. Well, we got 7 billion. Okay, so now, okay, I'm going to
let me just jump in here quick while
Yeah.
somebody had a follow-up question here.
Yep.
Not about how all that happened, but something about zone. So let me start off for Rut. Sit up a little bit. Let's see that shirt there, Rut. There you go.
Yo, what's up, y'all?
So that's Rut's company there, and his stuff is back in stock. So now I can order myself a hat. It's pretty nice
Absolutely.
stuff. Question to Rut and Sut. All right. So the somebody asked about having the uncovered guy climb right away. So for you guys, when running the ball, was it easier for you to read it when we had long doubles or a guy climbing right away? What did you guys find? Go, either one of you. Actually, Rut, you go first. You're up.
I mean, I liked it when they climbed right away. I mean, obviously, it made things clearer, made it easier for you to make the read. It was just dependent. You know how it was. It was really dependent on how everything was set up. Like Wild said, if the O-line was able to identify everything that was going on before they even got to the line, it made the reads easier for us because the communication was already there. So it was almost as if, it's rhythmic when everything's in motion correctly, right? So if before you get to the line that everything's going on, all the communication is there, you already know what's going to hit based off identifying everything from the beginning. Obviously, them climbing right to their spot and right to their person is easier for us to make our moves. But what do you think, Seth?
I know this. I went to some freaking video way back, even before them. Some of the backs we had at the Bengals, right? Backs run away from colors. They don't read offensive blocks. They see you guys see a different color and you run a different way. You don't run at the color, right? You run at the color, you got a problem, right? Backs see different colors when they're running, right? So I want to keep the color to a minimum for those guys, right? I want to make sure that there's no splittage before I leave to go someplace. Because if I leave to go someplace, then the color shows and the back's going someplace else. So backs run away from colors. They don't read an offensive block. They look at the defender, okay? Mm-hmm. And they run away from different colors. So the pace of how I'm leaving, I got to make sure that guy on the tackle, that's secure before I'm going. Now, how fast does that happen? Some guys do it quicker than others. You know what I mean? So sometimes some guys wait for the guard to leave, right? And then they try to come inside. It's all different. But I think the number one thing is that you don't want the back to see any color, okay? Right? You don't want the back, because he's going to run away from different colors.
Now, luckily, Sut and Rudd had good coaches before I got there. So, Sut, how did you read those when you're coming downhill? You got that front side. whether a 3 technique or a 5, whoever you're reading on that. How did that work for you? You're muted right now. Unmute yourself.
There we go. I like the long doubles simply because it allows the O lineman to feel their way up to the next level. Because I mean, as we know, we don't like linebackers blocking in space, and the more time they have their hands free, the more they get unbalanced, get whatever, trying to get downfield to get to the next guy. So I think having that guard double that 1 or a 3 tech up to the linebacker is a lot better because it gives a smoother angle in it. And like Coach Riley said, it shuts off color for us. I wouldn't necessarily say that all of us run away from a color or can't read offensive blocks, but as a running back, we are taught to run to the home team colors. So if there's 3 guys over here and there's 4 whites over here, run to our color. That's pretty basic, like Coach said. But again, I like being able to feel my way through the hole and making it murky and muddy for the defense not to be able to see me. That was my biggest thing, was being able to hide behind the offensive lineman, making their way up to the second level, and then just pop out and just make things happen after that.
Now, so
Sonny,
you actually block
Go
the
ahead.
linebackers for it. You actually get us to block the linebackers.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Because he's going to go to you. So if you maintain your course and don't make decisions until you get to the original feet of the offensive lineman, you're going to put that linebacker on us.
Exactly. It's all about influence. And like you said, Coach, it's all about angles. And the way that that we influence your angles to be right is by having our departure angle, our aiming point, where it's supposed to be, and not running away every time we see one color. We have to trust that our lineman is going to third hand this guy, get up to the second level, just in time for you to skate just to hug his block, just to get by him.
Exactly. Sonny, I was actually just going to ask you about your angle and your aiming point. I mean, what did you feel most comfortable with in terms of your steps that you did consistently?
I felt comfortable with the open crossover and point because it gave you a 3-way access to hit it front side, hit it straight down the hole, or take that off foot and point it left and take it to the left. So you had a 3-way go of being able to pick and choose based off of what your initial read did. So if he went left, or if for instance, if this guy who was at the 3 tech, the guy over me, if he goes right, then we got to come back and see that backside 90 and then come to 49.
Yeah.
You keep it tight. 49 takes it for you. He plays into it. Just follow your blocks naturally.
Yep.
4, yeah. So just being able to just stay on point and understand who your linemen are going to and who the double team is going to, and understanding the angles that they have to take, it just slows the game down tremendously and allows you to just pick and choose where you want to go.
You know, I actually.
What about your speed coming to the line of scrimmage? Your pace coming to the line of scrimmage changes, right?
The pace always changes because some guys are tired. Some D linemen are amped up and playing a little bit harder than others. Some of our guys are tired. So it all depends on your personnel and seeing what's going on and what's happening throughout the entire game. Because at some point in time, that double team can take a toll on one of your linemen, and the guy starts to squirt through sooner. You might have to cut it back just one step before you're actually at the line of scrimmage, or you have to speed it up just a little.
Slow to the line and then fast when you see it.
Exactly. Slow to, fast through.
Fast through.
Let everything develop first, and then once you see it, take it, because there's nothing you can do after that.
You know, you made a good point too, Suddy, with being able to identify things before you even get up to the line. You know, that's probably one of the reasons I was back up to you for damn near 6 years because you were so sharp in that sense. But it was one of those things where before you even hit the line, you were communicating with the offensive line. I saw you doing this, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is he out there talking about when he's doing X, Y, and Z? And I started to realize that later in my career when I got into BC. Like being able to identify the defensive front, being able to understand where the blocks are going to happen before they even happen. If you don't have 100 yards or close to it, it's because you haven't prepared yourself.
Yeah.
It's that simple as a running back, being able to take your steps and being able to read and identify those keys out there, man. So thank you for that lesson that you gave me too.
Absolutely.
The best running teams, running backs, the best running teams that I've been involved with. I had some good running backs. I had Anthony Thomas and Darren McFadden. I had, Freeman McNeil, some really good backs. Right, the back, right, is in conjunction with the offensive line. The better backs, the better your running game.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens in the front. You know what I mean? The better your backs, the better your running game. When I had some of the backs that weren't as good as those guys, the running game wasn't as good. So the better your back, the better the running game actually becomes.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about just being cerebral because you're not going to be able to see every single look in practice. So you kind of just have to just draw up you have to draw up looks and just visualize it happening because nobody knows what's going to happen out there in the field. We can draw up the plays and we can say he's going to go left. We can say he's going to go right. But at the end of the day, they scheming up plays just like we are to stop us. At the end of the day, for a running back to have it, you gotta be able to react because it's forever changing.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the questions here is, are the running backs trained more to stay with their aiming points and initial reads or trust their vision to seek cutback lanes? Go for it, guys.
Again,
that's depending on the coach. What would you say?
Hey, if it works for you one time, the coach might not say anything to you. But if it doesn't work, you might not be able to do it again. But again,
I can't do anything to you right now, right? Feel free to speak.
But that's
you got 20-yard backs,
that's the
you got
truth.
40-yard backs, and you got 60-yard backs.
Right. That's the truth, though, right? You can, like you said, everything is ever changing out there. So you can make an adjustment and you might get a 10-yard gain, but then you try that shit again and you get the 3-yard loss, you're getting your ass reamed out there. You know, I'm familiar with that quite a bit, trying to change things up. So you got to trust the read, you got to trust the process, because you'd much rather get that tough yardage than lose 5.
You know, Darren McFadden used to run around the defense. He just run around the defense. And
he was fast enough to.
Don't do that.
But it all starts from that initial read. It doesn't matter if it's play 3 or if it's play 33. You got to look at that key and make sure that he's doing what you expect him to do or what you've been taught to do. Watch him, read your keys, and just play the game as it is. It's a chess match. At some point in time, somebody gonna mess up.
And I think the difference is here too, right? Is that patience also sometimes, right? Also, you say slow too fast through, and understanding that sometimes things might take a little bit longer to develop, right? So being able to have that patience and being able to hide behind that lineman and then making that quick cut and that burst through and running through that arm tackle. I saw you do that many a times, and I think that's one of the parts of being a good back and being able to actually utilize what's going on in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So Phil Blake, if you want to unmute yourself.
Just a quick question here then, guys. So when you guys get to the sidelines as well, how much are the running backs and offensive linemen talking about some of that stuff? Like how you guys are all seeing it on the same page, I guess?
All the time. I'm constantly with the offensive linemen, telling them what I'm seeing, whether the guy slanted inside, outside, whether we got a 3-3 or a 3-4. Sharp will tell you I'm constantly over there with the O lineman. I consider myself,
especially the pass pro stuff too.
Yeah,
getting dialed in.
Yeah, I always consider myself an extension to the O line because whether it's the run game or the pass game, I need to know what they do. And everything that I do depends on them. Whether it's me saving them from a weak side blitz or me cutting in the right direction because I know my O lineman better than they know themselves. So it's all about just being in a tight-knit brotherhood because, I mean, as long as you know, of course I know what I'm doing. That's my position. But if you can know what other guys are doing, it'll only help you that much more.
Yep. I actually want to call out Big O on this too, because I remember many a times, you know, Big O was like, hey, Rhett, why didn't you get here? You saw that I opened this up for you this way, right? And you know how detailed Big O was about throwing that club he was violent and he made it very easy for us to make reads. So when we used to get back to the sideline, the communication was always clear. And it's only certain players that's like that. Not everybody wanted to communicate like that, but the people in this chat that I played with, like Phil and Big O, they were very clear about the communication. Hey, I'm turning them this way. I see I got the leverage this way, pop through here. So that communication was always clear. And I think if you have that relationship, it only leads to success out there on the field.
I think you got to understand too, the backs. Say you got a 3 technique and you're standing back there, right? And you look at it, and you got a 3 technique, and you're running the tight inside zone play. Well, right now, you as the back know that right guard, which is say it's a right guard, right formation, right guard.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know that right guard, right, has that 3 technique already leveraged.
Yep.
Yeah. It has them leveraged outside because you're going A gap to A gap.
Yep.
So you know that before the play starts.
Mm-hmm.
You've already got that guy leveraged. Now, if that guy moves to the A gap, then obviously you're going to go one more. You're going to filter your way back out there. So if you know that as the back, when you get up to, that's a great help. That is a great help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So jumping to the guys up front. So Phil, Blake, and Big O, they work beside each other. So Phil, when we were running like a mid zone and a running back runs tight zone on you and you're uncovered, how'd you like it when that linebacker went darting behind you every time?
I mean, I kind of knew, like, if I was uncovered, I knew I'd help the tackle. I'd always use like a shuffle technique. So I'd always keep my shoulders square looking at the linebacker. So it almost be like I'm a tackle sifting up.
Yeah.
When I would shuffle, have my hand extended. If I get the shoulder, I can turn it and then watch that linebacker and see which way he flows. Because if he comes downhill,
Phil would trust his running back to be on the right path, and that's why he could take that footwork. And then Big O knows that Phil's coming with him.
And it was always timing because I'm always watching the linebacker and just seeing how close he comes to me. Then I know how close the running back is to my back, so I can jump up and climb him and block him and turn him which way I need to turn him.
At what point did you say Big O's got the DN and I can climb?
I mean, for me, with Big O, I knew he always had him. So I didn't have to worry about it. I had that confidence in Big O. I just knew I took my proper footsteps and I had my area to work with. And if I felt the guy in that area, okay, now I know he needs help, so I push him and then look to climb up.
Excellent. And Dom, for you, when you're running like a mid zone, all right, and let's say you're working with the backside guard, you're going an A on it or something like that. How thick were you intending to be on that block? Can you kind of talk us through that a little bit?
Or depending of the linebacker's reaction, the more he's just sitting in there, like I'm gonna spend more time on the double, right? So he's playing downhill. I'm just gonna try to go and climb faster, I guess. And Wiles brought up a good point. Like the backs will set us up. Like there are good backs that last for so long. Like these guys just talked about, right? Like they know the game. So we've seen backs like they came up north and they play for like a few games and then they just disappear because those guys, they don't get it, right? So you got to create their proper angles, and we block the down guys, they block the linebackers, right? So creating those angles, they're patient, they go slow too and fast through. It's pretty well said. So yeah.
Perfect. Coach Neil, are you
Talk about the shuffle technique, Paul. The shuffle technique, okay, the reason that occurs, okay, and how we came up with that stuff, right? Because we were taking the angle, they go first step, second step, third step, and then they go to the backer, okay? Well, we were finding out a lot of times we were kind of behind on the guy. He was ahead of us because of the way we were leaving the line of scrimmage, okay? So what you're doing, whether you know it or not, is you're closing the distance to your buddy before you leave to take the angle to the backer, right? So you're creating a better angle by moving closer to your buddy on the line of scrimmage than you're trying to get to the backer, right? You're leaving that space between you and your buddy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because it takes time for that ball to get snapped back there, the exchange to happen and everything. So It's a good timing deal. Go ahead, Rick. You're muted.
Working my cell phone and a couple other things. So we got a question from Mike Rimaleski. What huddle procedure do the O linemen here prefer from basically when you're leaving the huddle to get to the line of scrimmage? What's your preference?
As far as
Go
how
ahead,
we
Dom.
line up or what?
There you go, Joe.
Yeah, basically, I think he's basically talking. Do you prefer probably looking towards the quarterback or being so you see some of the huddles that are open and you guys are actually approaching, looking already at the line of scrimmage?
Me, honestly, I like looking out to the defense, seeing what's coming out in case they bring in an extra nickel or extra blitzer or something like that. I love looking out. I don't like have my back turned and seeing surprise when I turn around. So that was definitely my preference, looking out to the defense.
I know it's not zone game stuff, but just hit on quickly about why you like seeing that substitution occur.
Because it changed a lot of things. Pass protection, it can change, who we line sliding to. It can also, bring an extra guy in the box. We got to make sure he's accounted for and who's blocking him. So that's definitely important for us to see that. And then I know my coach, Dan DeRazio, he's had a left tackle look on the other player's sideline to make sure everybody knows who's coming in and make them shout out the numbers so everybody know what defense they in and stuff like that. So great communication for the O-line, because that's what it takes to get have a great offensive line, is that communication is key. So
Right, and you're going to know if it's going to be a 3-man look. You're going to know if it's going to be a 4-man look. You're going to know what blitzes come out of that because you saw that personnel change. That's good coaching. That's great for the players to know that. Now, back in the 1980s, for you guys, for the huddle stuff, we were in a choir huddle at the Bengals. It was the same huddle that most of the CFL teams use, except we put the quarterback in front. We put the quarterback facing them like a choir, so he could see everybody's eyes and he could tell everybody what he needed to tell them. And the offensive line was still looking at the other team's sideline, right? And if they saw that the exchange takes place, all they did is tell the quarterback, "Here they come." So now the quarterback is thinking, "Hey, this is going to be nickel, right? This is going to be a 3-man line. This is going to be this coverage." So now he's got a little bit of thought process that he's going to get up on. That thing about the quarterback looking at the defense, that's all bullshit. The quarterback, he can't see the fucking defense. Okay, so he's going to rely on the big guys up front to do that for him. So we just put the quarterback, and this was way back in the 80s, we just put the quarterback in the front of it. That's all. I don't know why more guys in Canada don't do that. So anyway, you guys are doing a great job. I'll keep my mouth shut.
Taylor Neal, go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Thanks, Paul. You can hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, as a question for Sut, you mentioned the big picture on your react key on the inside zone. My question is, at what point are your eyes back to the big picture? So if you're going, how long do your eyes stay with the read key? If your 3 stays at 3, your eyes are back to the 1.
Now,
at what point? Is there a point? Is there something
now, in that last clip that he just played, the reason why I stayed front side instead of coming back to that one tech was because I think it was Christian Matt at this point in time in the season. I don't remember who it was. Matty actually he actually got inside of that guy. He actually got to him. So when he covered him up, that means that my read is still clear. If he hasn't jumped outside of Matty to force me back inside, to look back inside, stay on that read, because then it goes out to the tight end, because he's either getting widened out or he's trying to play inside. So if he plays inside, that means that linebacker's got to come outside to fill his position. If he plays outside, that means we can sift our way all the way up to that backer who has to flow over the top, in which Christian Matt can actually still get to him. So once he actually crashes across Matty's face, that's what's going to take me back to that one tech.
Okay.
And then you come back to the side. But at the end of the day, you still look from that 3 tech to that linebacker that is going to be double teamed back to that 1 tech.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, question for you guys regarding that, like the aiming point. What was the aiming point? Because I've been watching film from you guys, Paul, T-Sot, like Chris Sweet. The years you guys were in Montreal, I've been watching some film from you guys the past couple months. What was the aiming point when you guys were in a pistol? Because it seemed like wider than usually. I don't know. So
Did we go inside leg of the tackle at that point?
So, but we had a 6 and 7 zone too. We had a wide zone as well. So
Yeah.
you depending on, we can watch at some point together and I'll tell you exactly which one it was, but Sut and Rut were pretty good at staying on their path. So if you look at their path, you can get a good idea of if it was a 4-5 zone, so inside leg of the tackle, or a 6-7 zone with the inside leg of the tight end. So,
Who was the head coach then? Was it what was his name? Jaquez? Who was the head coach? It was Jock at that time. He didn't like us deviating off of our aiming point at all. I mean, even if the shit was blown up, he was like, "Stay on your path," you know. And I mean, like as a back, you still have to have that room to maneuver and to make that adjustment as things change. But you know, it's hard when you got that kind of. That's another conversation. But that's hard when you got that kind of, you know, dictatorship going on.
So we have another question here, not to jump off your thing, Rut. Bail you out before you go too deep. So Dom, here's a good question for you. All right. So what's the best advice you'd give college kids about how to study film?
well, that's a great question. I think it starts from there. Just to identify the fronts, like making sure to get it like the front ID, like if it's an even front, if it's an odd front, all that stuff, and then just sort it by down and distance, first and 10, P and 10, then you go like second and short, mid and long, and then third and short, medium and long. So they know what to expect on game day, right? So kind of put that cut ups in certain situations instead of just watching the ball. Like first and foremost, depending of the age, right? If he's in grade 8, grade 9, just watching like the kid at his possession, like a pro player, just to watch how he's doing, right? But like the more he's growing, I'd say like give him like cut ups already made, and then he can start watching situational football, right? So does that answer the question there? Like just not like as a coach, you gotta make sure like your kids are prepared, right? So you got to give them like all this stuff ready, right? Like even if it's the high school level, like you got to give them all the one-on-one sorted out. Like that's what we do. Like just the kids one-on-ones. I stay at the office for 2 hours after practice, and I make sure like I sort them out, and then I send like the 4 or 5 reps from each kid, so he doesn't have to watch the whole deal of everybody else. Like he can just get on his phone on Huddle and start watching. Like it's gonna take him 5 minutes. Then we ask him to identify like 3 things to practice during the whole week watching those one-on-ones. So really select like 3 things a week to get better. And yeah, does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah. So, and then just looking a little bit more at breaking down the players, the way we did it is we had the young guys that always break down the front and stuff. And Big O was a big talker in our room. I had to just get him to quiet down sometimes. But like Big O would study these DNs, like he knew what they did. So Big O, why don't you talk a little bit about how you would break down like the DNs, the big pass rushers, and all those guys?
So basically having Dan DeRazio as a coach for most of my career, he was real particular on pass rushers. He basically had the blueprint on how many times this guy do a spin move, how many times this guy, a bull rush. And basically he'd give us a blueprint plan on how to block them and show us some guys that had, great success blocking these guys. And basically we use the same thing. So me being a tackle, I always was a vertical setter, like the vertical set. So that was mostly for guys that like to go inside a lot. So that just helped me as a football player block those type of guys that's, aggressive, strong guys. I spot set them, you know what I'm saying, with just 3 kicks on 3 kicks on the angle, and then play football. But my main thing was not to get beat. So I know if I was going against a premier pass rusher, I'm studying that film heavily just to make sure, his tendencies, what he do, when it's second and long, when he down in Canada, what he doing. Is he passive on run game? Is he got his ears pinned back on the pass game? What type of player he is? So those type of at the end of the week, we always watch those too. So the day before the game, so we have a sheet for the young guys that whoever did had a sheet. How many times this guy spin move? How many times this guy's bull rushes? And we watch that at the end of the week, right before the game, just to give us, a head start on what we're gonna see during the game. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
for you guys, in the first 2 days of the week, and I don't know, and I've done this most of my career in the NFL and a little bit in the CFL. Okay, you don't have the game plan, so you have no idea what the runs and the protections are going to be. Okay, so we go, and I need to know if that pass rush guy is a reactive pass rusher or is he a power pass rusher? I need to know that. And I have to come up with a game plan. Okay, so when I start looking at film, right, I'm looking at, right, is he a reactive guy? If I stick my right hand out, is he going to knock it down and stay outside of me? Well, that's good information. That if I lean forward and keep my hands low, is he going to spin inside to the guard? Right, if the guard, the center's coming with me, that's good information. So with the reactive guy, so we put together a game plan on Monday and Tuesday on how we're going to defeat that guy that lines up in front of us. Because if we can't do that, the plays don't matter. The plays don't matter at all. Okay, we've got to be able to come up with a plan on how we're going to beat that guy. So my analytical guys take all the best moves, right, and they put them all in one locker, right, different lockers, I should say, so that player can now just see that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Then he goes to the second move, and then the third move, and so on and so forth. Okay, if he's a power guy, then we need to know that we need to set a little lower, be a little more firm. The inside hand needs to be low. All the little things, because the guy's a power rush guy. Right now, as the week goes on, you're going to get the game plan. Okay? So the coaches are going to give you the game plan. So now you can take and put the schemes versus the defense. So now you're figuring out how we're attacking this guys. Okay? And your best film study days, like you were saying, right, are the end of the week. The Friday and Saturday before the game, because you have the whole game plan. You have short yardage, you have goal line, you have base runs, base passes, or you have the whole thing. So now it makes all more sense to you. So you really have two game plans. How are you going to beat the guy that lines up in front of you, right? And then how are you going to beat the defense, right, that they're going to put out there that you have to block? Okay, you actually have two different game plans. And it's better, offensive line coaches and guys, it's better you study as a group. It's better that you're in there as a group, okay, to take them, okay, run the meeting, running backs, tight end, quarterbacks, whatever it is, you're in there together, and you can put all the pieces together. So the last 2 days before the game, that's your best film study time. I'd have Joe Thomas run the meeting. I'd have Owen Krutz in Chicago run the meeting. You know what I mean? I have, like Pat Neufeld. I know he does it over at Winnipeg. He runs the meeting. Okay, that's what Marty does. He runs the meeting. That's the best film study time, guys.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it, because in the end, it doesn't matter what you know as the coach, it's what they know. So anytime, I'm watching film of an opponent, I want the guys running the meeting and them speaking up on what they see and stuff. Rut, question for you, touch back a little bit on the communication. What's some of the stuff that how the O-line communicated back to you guys pre-snap on what they were seeing or how they were going to block it up? Some things that have helped you.
I think as I got older in the league, like I said, as we broke the huddle and started going to the line, one of the things I always did was communication. I have this guy, I have this guy. Tell me who you have. Tell me who you have. They'll look back at me. I want that visual eye contact. You know, the center turn back. You know what? I got 5'6", I got 5'6", I have 4'4". Then I know that I have these guys. So it shouldn't be a mistake made. And even if they did say it, like sometimes I think even one time I had this altercation with Big O one time, and I said, call out your man. And he called out his number, but he didn't look at me. Call out your man. And he finally turns around and he looks at me and gives me that visual communication. So I know that's your guy. And, you know, I don't care if it annoys them. It just made it easier for me because I don't want to mess up. I don't want to get the quarterback killed. Because, you know, Suddy and I took pride in blocking. You know, we wanted to knock somebody out. And if I have to, you know, guess who I have to go to, it just made it that much more difficult. So the communication was key for me in terms of being able to talk with my O-line, and also just knowing what we have beforehand and communicating it again and doing it again before the snap. It just made us comfortable.
Yeah, because you'll see some teams, as soon as they come up to the line of scrimmage, the center, he'll do his signal to say what the front is. A tackle might do whatever, designating whatever the front is. So it gives the guys an idea from that too. So
also another point is that was consistent even in the run game, because you can't just do this every time.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just point out every time it's a pass protection. You have to make it consistent. So, you know, the defense can pick up on those keys, right? So it got to a point for me, every time I would go out there, I'm pointing out my men. You know, these are the guys that I have, and I'll do the same thing, you know, in both pass and run to try to, you know, make it consistent.
Jump back to the O-line for a second, guys. I know I don't want to admit this in this group, but I coach the D-line, and I know we got a couple other D-line coaches. Offensive line guys, what's one of the things when we're talking inside zone that you actually hate to see happen?
Go ahead, Blaze. I know. Go ahead.
Me, inside zone or mid zone, I hate to see stunts. So if it's slant inside, if I'm at tackle and I'm one-on-one with the DN, that's why I always went at the guy or almost like a point hand. So I always put my inside hand into his inside peg just in case he's slanting back inside. Because to me, that was an inside zone killer. Defensive end slant inside. So stunts is something I never wanted to see when we was running tight zone or mid zone. So that's why I always run that catch hand and being cognizant of that defense end might come inside. He's not going to play upfield all the time. So like I said, I always run that point hand with me just in case for that slant inside. Like I said, that can be the end of a good inside zone play. So that was probably the hardest thing I seen. I didn't like to see at all.
What about you, Phil?
I mean, I feel the same way Big O does. The slants, the movement on the line after the ball's being snapped. Just one thing to think about. You have your landmark and everything, and then they come across your face. And while you're playing catch up, you're kind of ready for it, but it's just maybe a little extra exertion that you got to deal with. But everything Big O says is most the same thing.
So that happens in front of you, Sut. All right. You see pirate stunt. All right. What are you thinking right now?
Well, with Philly, with Phil, I always knew if the guy crossed Phil, he was going back for him regardless if he was if he was supposed to or not. So I knew with Phil, I either had to like just go straight, or I was gonna run into Phil's back or into his side, because I mean it's just you know he's it's not like he's doing wrong. It's just he's doing what he's cognizant of doing. He's trying to get his man, and so sometimes you just gotta just take it. Because I was thinking about when Big O said that, like I was just thinking about how I was gonna get out of it. I'm like, I can hit him with a jump cut and get outside of Big O, but Big O's not up there to get to the second level. So it's kind of like you got to try to keep it tight as well if you do that jump cut back outside to get back north. But it's kind of ruined at that point. When I see a slant, I just, like I said, you got to do the read, and then you just you hope your guys just kind of pass it off, because that's really all they can do, because they need to get to their landmarks as well. And so if one kind of gets hemmed up a little bit, you kind of got to slow your route down just a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's kind of read and react.
Yeah, and then Phil, you brought it up earlier too with your shuffle step. So if it's a 5, with your shuffle step, you'll be there to protect your tackle if he's got that spike. Now, Sut, you brought up a good point there too, is that you stayed on your path, and you tried to stay as close to it as possible, because some running backs have a tendency, as soon as they see that spike, they want to jump outside right now.
Yeah.
Well, what they're trying to do is get that linebacker free over top. So if you go out there right now, you're one-on-one, but if you're slow and you're stay into that block, you might get him to get caught up in there. So
yep, you might cause a car accident. You might be able to squeeze it back to the play side A gap just a little bit tighter inside.
And then when your quads are the same size as most people's waists, like Sut, it didn't really matter. So when you got into a one-on-one, you could probably run him over.
Yeah, you just hit a couple people. Or
I think the only running back to get a targeting penalty for running over a guy, just throwing it out there.
Something's nasty.
You should give you a certificate for that.
You should. My money back for it too. But at the end of the day, it's all about leverage, because if you can influence the guy just enough, you can see which one of your guys is going to come off the double team, or which guy is going to be able to hook that D lineman just enough to push him over to the other lineman and then make his way up to the second level. So it's all about just advantages and angles and just running to what you see.
Yeah, great stuff. Rick, did you have another question?
Sometimes guys you got a 3 technique, you got a 5 technique in the linebacker, and the center and the guard are working together to the backer, and the tackle's not included in it, but the tackle's guy comes inside, and now the 3 technique spikes. Well, that happens on the run. Okay. My God. Okay. And that 3 technique crosses my face. I know the center's going to beat it. If it's the inside zone play, I just can't let him cross my face.
Exactly.
I need the tough technique come back to the center. So I need to bring that guy back to the center with my footwork. Right. But when I do that, it slows me down a little bit, and I can feel the defensive end if he shows up. Now, the tackle's saying, hey, this guy's crossing my face. I need to stay on him and go back in with him, because it's only a 2-man call. Okay. If I run into the guard, right, I'm just going to give him to the guard. Right. And I'm going to key on an angle to the backer. It's just going to happen. Right. If you keep practicing it that way, it just happens. If you can see it, and now you make a 3-man call, well, that's easy. That's the easy part of the game.
Wiles, you got a question for you from Mark Rojas on YouTube Live. His question is, how do you coach the reach block from a guard to a 3 technique and inside zone?
Well, I know if is it the tight inside zone play or a wide zone? You know what I mean? I'm kind of passionate to the wide zone play, but they're almost coached the same. I know if I've got the 3 technique, okay, right, I've got that guy, right, all I need to do is bring that guy to the read spot at the back, which is the guy on the tackle. All I know is that guy is the read spot, right? That guy is who the back is reading, okay? So if I can get my helmet, right, my force line on the outside of that guy, right, my first step, second step, my third step, I want to get width and distance on the third step and get that guy moving. As soon as I can get that guy moving, okay, there's a point in time, right, where I can throw him, okay, right, or I can talk him to get him out there. Sometimes guys hit him and they talk him too soon, and then you get your ass in a hole. You don't want to put your ass in a hole because that screws up your back. Okay, you want to try to keep your hips, right, relatively square, or stay on the angle that the back shoulders are. Your shoulders and your hips should be on the same angle as the back shoulders and the back's hips. You should be working together, and the back is going to help you block that guy, right, moving out. But as soon as the intentions of that guy going out, you know, right now, if your back's work any shit and he's not running like fucking Helen Keller, okay, then you got a chance, okay? If you just keep him outside because the ball's going to roll back inside, okay? You know that as the offensive lineman. So your dominant hand is your inside hand, okay? Because eventually that guy's going to say, the ball's coming back, and he's going to stop and try to come back across your face, right? So you're going to move the guy, okay? And there's a point in time where you can chuck him out there, throw him out there, but you can kind of turn him out there, but you've got to create the space. The back's going to help you create the space for that to happen, right? So if you take the correct angle of departure and you get your force line outside of the guy, the back will help you move that guy out there by his. As soon as that guy starts moving out there, you know your backs are pretty good. He's going to go back inside with the ball, but he ain't going back in there for a while. He's going to wait till he gets to the original feet as the offensive lineman. He's going to go slow through there, and then as soon as he sees that opening, right now he's going to take it. I tell the back, if you can get me 4 or 5 yards, go get it. Don't worry about big runs; they'll come. Give us 4 or 5 yards, go get it. Okay, right? So he's going to help you move that guy with that dry block. Okay, or some guys call it a reach block, dry block. Moving that 3 technique outside. Okay. Right? But your inside hand's dominant as soon as that guy starts moving, because your back is going to help you, right? And the ball, you have to know. In offensive line play, guys, your offensive line has to know who the back is reading. They have to know that. Guy moves outside, you know the ball's going back inside. So if I'm the center and the right guard, okay, and that 3 tech moves outside, both you guys should know that that ball is coming back over you guys, right? And may go behind the 1 technique backside, but the ball's coming back in someplace. If that 3 technique's coming to the center, okay, those guys are going to know that that ball is going B gap or wider. Okay? They start at the B gap, and then the end closes, and all of a sudden he jumps outside and runs around the defense. That's okay. That's all right, right? That's what they're supposed to do, okay? But to answer your question, the back will help you move that guy if you take the right angle and put your force line where it needs to be. And when that guy starts moving, you know the ball's going back inside.
So a question here from in the Zoom. Do you prefer to run at a 1 tech or a 3 tech? For me, honestly, I don't care. Running at the 1 or the 3, just because how defenses move so much these days, it's sometimes harder to predict that. But for the O linemen, be interested to hear you guys on how you guys like it. Like Dom, go for it. Like if you have a 1 or a 3 front side on mid zone, how do you like it?
Well, both ways, but for sure you're gonna get more movement with the 1 technique. So at the end of the game, like when you get into it and you want to kill a clock, you just want to come off the ball, right? So the 1 technique for sure it's better. So, but in the first half, I'd say both ways it's okay.
Yeah. How about you guys?
Well, for me, it doesn't really matter. I mean, just be honest. Just getting off the ball and driving the guy. It's either you're working by yourself or working with somebody. If it's like Wiley said, he's a 3, I always try to keep him a 3. If it's a 1 technique, me and the center working and driving him up to the linebacker.
Yeah, excellent. And then, and I think that does change too, depending on if you're going front side exchange or backside exchange. If you're going backside exchange, more of a zone read or an RPO, depending on how you approach it, you know, because some guys are tight zone and the ball crosses the quarterback and attacks that front side guard. And then some guys have a duo approach. And I know if you've got the duo approach and more downhill, having the 3, it's technically it's the back side of the play, but it is really the front side if you look at the blocking on it. And then so if you got like Big O and Phil working together, I'm sure they'd rather have the 3 technique between them and push it vertical right now than Big O being uncovered and trying to figure out, you know, is it the linebacker or the DN who's going to have that B gap, you know, that messes you up a little bit, right, Big O?
Definitely. If you're going to sift or you're going to T-step to get up to the linebacker, I just love having that 3 technique because I just want to cave that whole side of the line down. Like, I'll be licking my chops when it's a 3 technique and I'm backside on mid zone or inside zone. Because, like, I really want to Phil used to set them up and I used to come, consume, and kill. Cave the whole side down. So just in case Suddy or Rut want to cut back on the inside or mid zone, be wide open. So definitely, I used to love having the 3 technique backside or inside or mid zone. Love it.
Did it make a difference on the tight zone?
Excuse me?
Did it make a difference on the tight zone?
No, not really. I found out as I was playing, the linebackers flow a little bit faster in mid zone than they do tight zone. So I knew in my mind when I was in tight zone, the linebacker gonna sit there a little bit longer than it would be in mid zone. So that's what I noticed.
Right. I think just my own little brain.
Mm-hmm.
When the back is offset and you're running the inside zone play with the back's offset, that back three technique, I think you need to be a little more vertical. Because the ball is one over, so
come down the line, catch it.
he's running over the center, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
back is in the behind the quarterback, right? And he's running, okay, the ball is going a little bit wider. So that backer is going to go over the top a little bit.
Study, did you prefer being in a pistol or offset?
It didn't make a difference. It's just one just hits a little bit faster than the other one. Just being in a pistol behind the quarterback, it just gives you a cleaner read because you can see the entire field. You can see where the safety is rotating. It's just from the gun, you just got to make it make the cut on your third, fourth step rather than your fifth from the pistol.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
As long as the quarterback gets out of the fucking way, but you see it.
You're right about that.
I mean, you step on a couple of toes, it get out the way soon enough.
Yeah. Now, actually, I got a question for you too, Seth. On that wide zone. So how many steps was it? Was it 3 or 5? It was obviously depending on that run, but how did you feel comfortable in terms of taking your steps, right? You remember we used to take your steps, it was 1, 2, 3, boom, cut. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cut. What was it for you? How did you feel when you did that?
I think I was 1, 2, 3, kind of like jumping there a little bit, and then and then kind of like make my decision because I was kind of like waiting for things to develop, and so I just kind of like just a little half a second, but then once I made the decision, it just take off. So it's kind of like 4 or 5, I would say.
Yeah, because I was wondering that too. Because I think the timing it wasn't always the greatest sometimes when they said, okay, you have to cut at this number.
Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes things may have not been developed, right? Where maybe we've had to slow down a little bit or speed up. So the number thing was always an issue.
Yeah,
with me. I mean,
it just depends on what happens.
Yeah,
sometimes
I agree.
Guys, I think it's more of a landmark for you guys. I think if you know the original feet of the offensive lineman when they get in his stance, and you're saying, I don't make any decision until I get to that spot. Once I get to that spot, what's the defense doing? No, I don't. It may be 3 steps, it may be 4 or 5. You may have 6 fucking steps. Who knows? As a back, I want to know that the first 3 are correct, and you're on the proper angle.
Yeah, you're in the right path.
Now you got to use your athletic ability. Through that fucking hole, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question for Sharps or Wiley. Did you ever emphasize like the steps of the running back? Like I know some running backs have like a drop step and then get the ball handed off. Did you ever teach the old lineman? Because I always thought like with timing, that also influenced the linebacker movement. If they would rock back because of the running back stepping. So I'd hold my block a little longer to go up. So I'd always look at the back during practice and seeing how he was like getting the ball. If he was going to drop step and get it, or he's going to straight down and get the ball right away. Is that something you guys emphasize? Just a personal question.
Yeah, so I wanted the guys to mirror with a drop step as much as possible so they get on the right angle. But you know how it is, like you get a bunch of guys flown in and stuff like that, and they'll scissor and they'll do different things, and they'll be sometimes tighter on it. Guys will try and do open crossover from a pistol, and it doesn't time up necessarily the same. So that's why I like better the drop step right from it and point right now at the whatever the aiming point is on that given play that we're running.
We used to start when we first started this thing, guys. So you have a little history of it because everybody takes it and wants to add their own little tweak to it. And I'm going to make this better. And it was never fucking broke to begin with, but they were doing to make it better. Okay, so the backs were at 6.5 yards. The backs were at 6.5 yards when we started this thing. All our backs lined up at 6.5 yards. right? And they would take a drop, crossover, a plant step. They would gain between 22 and 24 inches, somewhere in that fucking range. Nothing, somewhere in that range. They gained that much ground, right? But they were running with their shoulders to the inside leg of that tackle, right? They're making no decisions until they get to the original feet of the offensive lineman. And that we kept it like that for years. Now, sometimes
And that was under center though, right, Wiles?
yeah, we were
Yeah, so that, and I still do teach it that way for under center.
when we got to have them in the gun, which that came years later, when they got now the back is offset. He's actually one whole farther away. Okay. He's one whole farther away. So how he approached the line of scrimmage, okay, because we knew that if he was reading the front side three technique, okay, he wasn't going to get out to the 5 unless the three technique came inside. So we had leverage on that guy, however he got there. I would much rather have the backs run right over the ass of the center. Some people want to have them run, to the front side A gap when the back's offset. I'd rather have them just run over the ass of the fucking center. Get over there and run over the ass of the center. Right? The defense is going to react just the way we need them. You put guys on it. It would be better for us if you did that. Okay. Than try to run it too wide. Right. So that's just me. But you run to what you feel. Now, on the outside play, guys, okay, we used to have the back. He would take a step with his opposite foot first. Okay, he would step with his opposite foot. Why did he do that? Okay, he did that because he needed to have the offensive line get a little bit ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want the line too far ahead because then the linebacker would stay back with him. But he needed the line to get just ahead of him. Mm-hmm. And he really didn't want to pass the center. He didn't want to get too far ahead of the center, because if he stayed on that angle, right, and he's not too far ahead of the center, then the center could stay on that guy. Okay, the center could stay on that guy and bring him to the read spot in the back. You know what I mean? So there was little details like that, and when we first started it, we find out. Then somebody said, "Well, no, he's going to do drop, crossover, and plant." And then one year with Corey Dillon, you guys would have liked Corey, right? Corey broke the NFL rookie rushing record, then he broke the NFL rushing record. He did a single game rushing record. Okay, right? We had him run the inside and the outside zone play with the same footwork. So he would take the drop step, and then the second step would go for the inside leg of the tackle, right? Or he'd take the drop step, and the second step would go inside leg of the tight end. To the linebackers, okay, they didn't know if it was the outside play, okay, right, or it was going to be the inside play, right? And Dick LeBeau was our coordinator. He said that would screw us up, because Corey could still get back with the football, even though he was using outside footwork and the inside play, right? People don't do that anymore, but that really messes the linebackers up. If the back, like you guys, good enough, where now you can press it, and you're pressing the B gap, or you're pressing the inside leg of the tight end. Okay, but you could still get back if you have to. You can still get back. That, we drove people crazy with that shit for a while. Corey went to another team and fucked us all up. I don't know if I answered your question or it didn't, but
yeah,
the backs will help us make our box.
Yeah.
If they do it right, and you guys meet and study and talk and communicate and do all the stuff that you're supposed to do, don't become robots. Be athletes. Here's what I know about coaching, and guys that have been on this before. It's what we don't tell you guys is just as important as what we do tell you guys as coaches. Because if we want to fuck up a player and we try to tell you everything we know, we're going to screw you all up. It's too much shit. There's way too much stuff that we know to give to you. Okay? So it's what we don't tell you is just as important as what we do tell you. Because every day you go to practice, you have a goal, and all you want to do is get this much better in practice. That's all. Yeah. You get that much better. Because in 7 days, you'll be that much better. If I try to make you that much better, right, in one practice, you're going to be so screwed up, it's going to be unbelievable. You're not going to block anybody. Okay, but if I can make you this much better, like, hey, just get your second step better today. That's all I'm looking for. Right, just get your inside here where it needs to be today. That's all I'm looking for. Okay, just get your force line just where you need to be. That's all I'm looking for. So when I put the film on at the end of the day, and I see that improvement out of you, okay, you got better. You got better. If I say, well, work on your first step and then second step and then work on this and work on that, I'm going to screw you all up. Okay, I'm going to mess you all up. You'll get all the stuff, but you're not going to get it at one time. You're going to get it over a course of time. That's why you become, and the only way you get better is to watch yourself play. That's how you get better. You watch yourself. You'd be surprised. I say short step's better than long step, right? And the guys don't believe it until they see the tape. And then when they see the tape, they say, holy shit, I thought I was taking a short step. No, you weren't. Okay, right? So you have to watch yourself play, right? To get better, whether it's in practice or the games. And you don't get any better if you're standing by me or Paul on the sideline. You're not getting any better. You got to go out there, right, and make your mistakes. That's where you're going to learn. You got to go out there on the other side of those white lines, and you got to go do that. Okay, that's where you start to get better. That's where you start to learn how to play. That's where you start all the stuff, your angles, your footwork, because it's all going to change depending on the relationship of the lineman. Your angles change, right? The backs, they change their speed and the way the line of scrimmage depending on, and then on the speed of the double teams, you step, the linebackers are pointing downhill, backs, right? That guy isn't giving the other guy any help. He's stepping, that linebacker's pointing downhill on his own plays, right? Number one, the tackle's losing help. And number two, that guard, he's getting down a linebacker a lot quicker than if that linebacker was at 5 yards reading it. And the backs, you guys have to, you will figure that out in the course of the game. You'll figure it all out.
Big O question for you. Backside, picking up the 3 technique. What was, how did you like to do it? If we're running mid zone away from you, how did you like to do it?
I like to take kind of like a drop step, kind of like a half bucket step, and basically take my right arm and scrape paint across the 3 techniques body to get inside leverage. That's how I blocked it. So because I knew, with that yard of grace, it was coming off the ball kind of fast, and then, I need to basically angle myself to get around the guy. So that's a technique I use.
So when you talk about scraping paint, you're using your backside arm, right?
Yep. Scrape paint across the body.
Yep.
Scrape paint across the body to get inside leverage.
And then what are you doing with the rest of your body once you get through on that?
My backside knee is high. I keep my backside knee high. So to the cylinder of the defender. So I drive through the cylinder of the defender with my backside knee, driving him out. That's the technique I use.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a little Dan Durazio there from sitting in camp with you guys that 1 year. Scrape paint.
Scrape paint.
It's great stuff.
It really works. It really works. And then just the simple thing of keeping your eyes on the player while you scraping paint. Like that little bit helps you so much. Like literally have your eyeballs on his eyeballs while you scraping paint to push through the cylinder of the defender with that backside knee high. That really helps you out. Just the little things like that just give you a little edge to get your job done.
It allows you to slow that guy down from condensing that whole side. You just got to give that running back a little seam. So
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Same thing, guys. If okay, you're a tackle and you got the guard coming with you and you're running the inside zone play and your guy goes to the guard. As soon as he's moving to the guard, as soon as he starts that course, right, you're going to bring him back with your feet, but you don't have to look at that guy anymore. Mm-mm. Right? You get your eyes right to the backer.
Yeah, go right to that second level.
Right. You get your eyes right on that backer because right, the back's going to he's going out. Reason this guy's going inside because that guy's going outside. But you can't leave too quick because the guy will ricochet off the shoulder into the play. Mm-hmm. So you're going to bring him back to the guard, but don't turn your shoulders and get your eyes on the backer because you know your back is going out there.
That's Willie Jefferson all day.
Mm-hmm.
The question from YouTube Live on that Big O is, do you see it more as like a boxing out instead of trying to flip your hips and blocking them then?
No, it's not a boxing out. You, like I say, you want to drive through the center of the defender, so you want to create movement with that reach also. So it's no boxing out. We don't put our ass in a hole or anything like that. We actually want to drive that guy off the ball, even though we reaching. And like that's why I said keep that backside knee high. That's helping you push the guy upfield more. So just in case when the running backs cut back, he have a clear lane to run up in that hole. So it's no boxing out at all.
Perfect.
Guys, jumping back in with the running backs too a little bit. Another question we had. Talk about the preferred footwork when we're talking inside zone for you running backs.
From the pistol or from the gun, it's still open crossover downhill. The only thing is that first step should be a little shorter. You don't need it as wide as the mid zone, the outside zone. So that way you still got your shoulder square, so that way you can still take that front gate straight down the hill or back to the left.
What about on zone read for you guys? Which one did you like from just a traditional offset?
Again, I played in every single type of offense, from shotgun, pistol, everything. So I mean, at the end of the day, it made no difference to me, because as long as I knew the leverage and where my old linemen were hitting and who they were responsible for, it really doesn't matter if you go from pistol or gun. Because at the end of the day, I have to influence their leverage to be able to go wherever I want. So it didn't make me a difference. Just worry about
did we scissor out of the pistol? Was it like a drop or was somewhat of a scissor?
On zone, you're talking about on zone read, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that was a timing thing. Because of just letting the quarterback catch it and stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. Everybody's doing now. Yeah. Wait till they catch the ball and then take your steps.
Yeah.
But in terms of in an offset in a gun, did you prefer the shuffle or a crossover? What made it easier to keep your eyes and get your shoulders right?
I kind of like the shuffle, personally myself. I like the shuffle because my shoulders were square. So I enjoyed the shuffle because it gave me the leverage to go any way I wanted at that point. I felt like when I opened and crossover, it just made me stay that way. It forced me. I felt like my shoulders, for me to cut back, I had to fully turn, and I missed a cutback at that point. So when my shoulders were square, I could either hit straight down the pipe, I could move to the right, I could move to the left. It was just easier for me to move that way.
You're talking about the pistol, right?
No, just in gun,
offset.
Like an
Offset.
The thing about offset is that they flow heavier because you can only go to one side. It's only one way for you to go. So it's easier to anticipate a cutback because everybody's flowing so hard, but it can get you in trouble with that backside linebacker or that backside DN.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Really have to stay on point and see if that 3 tech gets reached on the front side, because if not, it's very easy to cut that joint back behind that 3 tech and run right into him and mess up the blocks. Philly has gotten mad at me so many times for doing that shit. So you really have to keep your eyes on that front side to make sure that guy gets reached.
You know, that was one of the issues with the shuffle step also, because not crossing over, taking that open step and going, sometimes you don't get out there to big old sealing that guy off, because you can see it if you take those proper steps. Sometimes if you shuffle, you're not getting over as far enough. So it's like fool's gold. You see that cutback, boom, you go because you're so square. It's easy to just make that jump cut right out there, run into that linebacker, or that backside DN comes off. So that step, I play with that step a little bit based off the defense and identifying their front and stuff like that. So it would depend on the team, which would determine what steps I would take, honestly.
Did you find when you used the shuffle that linebacker didn't flow as fast?
Exactly. And that's my point. Sometimes he didn't flow as fast.
He's kind of hanging around to see.
He'll shuffle right with you.
Yeah, he's hanging
right with you.
Right back.
Yep, exactly.
He's just mirroring you playing hot feet. So, I mean, if you take that first step to get over there, to influence him over there, you can influence him coming downhill and running into that third.
I know this, when you turn your hips and you turn your shoulders as a running back, those linebackers.
Oh, they running.
Right.
Yeah, they're flying.
Flying sideline to side.
They're not sure exactly where you're going, but they're pretty sure that you're probably going to go in that direction.
Yep. You go on these.
Yeah.
You know, so when
Absolutely.
you can get them to move, and then as you square up when you start to run, right now you got them in a position where you can beat them.
Exactly.
Always go north and south. Like that. I mean, even if you're going northeast or northwest, you're going north. Don't run to the sidelines.
And where are you running? What are you running on?
Running on a straight line.
No, what are the hash marks called? Down the rail?
Oh, the rail. The rail.
Yeah. When you guys miss a cut, you'll hear me say, "What the fuck? You running like Helen Keller? Jesus Christ, guys! I didn't see that fucking cut." She called Ray Charles, and they had a discussion about that fucking cut you just missed.
But I tell you this though, it's so easy to say that when you're not the one running, and things are just,
absolutely.
It's so easy to say that from a camera.
It was many times we were in film study the day after the game study, we would be like, damn, how do we miss that big ass hole? And we're trying to make a hole on the outside, and the hole's right down the pipe.
What are we doing?
On that note, guys,
I'm sure you didn't see Big O look back at us like,
yeah.
Where are you going, bro?
You guys don't have, what happens with you guys is you don't have to be in the fucking film meetings with the head coach and the coordinator and shit. You have to sit in those fucking meetings. You always ask you these questions. Well, why did he do that? How the fuck do I know why he did that?
I saw something, Coach. I swear I saw something out there.
I saw something. It spooked me, Coach. I don't know.
Go ahead, Rick. You had a question?
I was going to say, so guys, I know you guys have sort of finished up playing pro. A lot of the guys that are on the call that have been on with me for a while now, limited film, limited coaching. So maybe what's some of those things that you guys are touching on right now? What's some key points for us to give young players, you know, that you guys have been right in the trenches, the line of fire. Maybe I guess if you could talk to your younger self, what would you want to know the coach maybe would have told you sooner as a running back?
Big O and Dom are coaches now, so now they're taking it back. So Big O, what do you got? You're working with some guys now.
Right. How technique is so key. Start working on that real early. Me coming from E-Course, so my coach didn't really know, you know, offensive line techniques. So as I got older, I went to college and went to pro. I really learned how to be an offensive lineman. I feel like if I would have learned that earlier, like some kids I went to college with in high school stuff, they already knew that I didn't know. I think I would became a way better football player earlier than I did, instead of me being kind of raw coming into the league. Even though I still had success, I think I would be that much farther as a football player, as a true offensive lineman, if I learned that stuff back in high school. And nowadays, there's so many position specific coaches out there where guys do like offensive lineman gurus and stuff like that. It's so many things out there to help kids out now, other than their coaches, to make them better football players. So if I had that aspect back when I was younger, I think I became a better football player early than what I did.
I think guys, like they hired me in the offseason, some agents, like I had Ronnie Stanley first round draft pick, right? So I spent 7 weeks with the kid, right? Hey, this is how they play in pro football. It's different than college football, right? That's what you need to know in pro football. But I think going back to what the coach just asked earlier, is that I think in high school and the younger kids, it's right. It's alignment, okay? It's assignments and it's technique. Alignment, assignments, and techniques, or assignments, alignments, and techniques. That might be better. Your assignment, where you're going to line, and what's your technique. But you get them that, okay? And these are one of my favorite things to tell people for you young coaches and stuff out there. Number one, teach them, don't tell them. Is a big difference between them and telling them. There's a great big difference in that, guys. Okay. And the other one is learn before you compete. You have to learn before you compete. If you try to go compete and you don't know it, right, you're going to get yourself hurt. You may get somebody else hurt. It ain't going to look pretty, right? So you have to learn. So the way that happens in modern day football, okay, is you have a meeting with your coaches and you're learning in that meeting, okay? And then from that meeting, you're going to go through some type of walkthrough and you're still learning in that walkthrough, okay? And then from that walkthrough, right, you're going to go to stretch. Now with me, that's a different fucking thing. So don't talk to me about that shit. If you fucking get on Hard Knocks, you'll know why. All right? Okay, now from that point in time, you're going to go to individual, okay? You're still what? You're still learning. You're still learning from the classroom to the walkthrough to individual. Now, most teams, right after that individual period, you're going to have what? A competition period. Whether it's one-on-one run blocking, whether it's inside run, whether it's team run, that's a competition period. Before you get to that period, you better learn what you're supposed to be doing, right? Assignment-wise, alignment-wise, technique-wise, right? Before you get to that period and compete. If you don't know it, it's not going to look good, okay? So one of the signs in my meeting when it says learn before you compete, okay? That's important. Teach them, coaches, teach them, don't tell them. There's a big difference between teaching them and telling them, okay? Big difference. No, I got all that stuff from Paul Brown. You guys have, some of you guys don't know who Paul Brown is, but.
Ohio guy right here. Oh, I know
Yeah.
Paul, bro.
Montreal guy now. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I think that was I'll finish off a little bit of that, Paul. I think that was such a great point. Wow, about actually learning. High school and college, I didn't learn shit about being a running back. I played based off of pure talent, right? And when I was raw coming into the league, and I would be in the backfield, and I couldn't identify anything, so I'm doing this, trying to see who's coming, right? And they used to call me sprinkler head. I was just looking at everything. I'm like, what's going on? I'm gonna block, miss a block, or I'm late to getting somewhere. So you have to understand the game. You have to know how to be a professional running back, professional athlete. You have to be able to understand the game. You have to be able to identify a defensive front. You have to be able to understand movements, techniques, and the game slows down incredibly when you understand those ins and outs. And I think through the process of learning over the years, I think that's why we were able to maintain such a long time in the CFL, because I've always been in rooms with guys who were sharp. And so working with Suddy, it would be the same thing. I saw how sharp he was. Sometimes I wouldn't speak, but I would just listen to him. And he was so sharp and detailed and precise about movements, about the defensive fronts, about the way the steps need to be, about being patient, slow to, fast through. And I would adopt those things. I would adopt those key aspects that I thought that were important in being a running back. And before you can play at that level or even have any kind of success, like you said, well, you have to understand and learn, what you say, assignment, alignment, and technique. Because if you don't, you won't have any success.
And the other thing I think you guys, as good and high school kids have to start to learn how to do it, I think. And younger kids won't, but you have to learn how to take good notes. You have to write it down. There's just too much stuff to remember. There's way too much stuff to remember. So, I had Anthony Munoz for a long time, and even Joe Thomas, I just had him for a few years, right? Joe would come in, and no matter what I said, right, he'd write it down. And there's a guy, who's going to be a first round ballot Hall of Fame guy, right? So you got to learn how to. That's a knack and a technique in itself. You know what I mean? Learn what's important and what's not important. That's another thing.
Well, like you said in the past, pay attention to details.
Yes.
Right. So it's not about the plays, the detail in the play. So that's what we're teaching here. I've learned that from you actually. So everybody runs the same plays, and actually people kind of copy your plays, but they don't know the why. So teach them the why and then the details in the play. So I learned that from you, and that's what I'm doing as a coach now. As you said, you got to teach them the play and the details in the play. So.
It's the details. Everybody's going to run the inside zone play. Everybody's going to run everybody, right? But it's the details that you put into the play that make it work. I'll give you one example, guys. And the run action passes, okay, in the NFL, when I was in the NFL, okay, and including CFL too. And the run action passes where we're running the run, okay, as a protection, okay. The running backs, I'm going to give you, let's talk to the running backs, okay. If the running backs are pumping their arms when they're running, right, they don't have the football, okay. If the running backs are looking at the ground, right, they don't have the football, okay. So when the running back's approaching the line of scrimmage and he gets the fake, we always had them grab their jersey. So he's going to the right. He makes the fake, and then he grabbed the jersey with that arm, right? Right. So he can't move. That arm's got the ball, like it's got the ball. So he's grabbing his jersey. The other arm may be free. That's what it looks like to the defense. Okay. That's a technique. That's a detail in the play. Running backs, run with your head up, run with your eyes up. Look at your run keys. If you have to make a shuttle cut, make a shuttle cut. That looks like the run. Looks like the run. If you're running with your head down, you don't have the football. If you're pumping your arms, you don't have the ball, right? The defense knows that, okay? That's a detail in the play. It's not that it's just a run action pass, okay? Offensive line, right? Run plays, pass plays sound differently. Some days stand in back of the defense and close your eyes, right? You can tell that's a pass, that's a run, that's a pass. Because run plays, there's a lot of fucking noise. And pass plays, there's not. Pass plays, there's no noise. So when you run the run action passes, it has to look and it has to sound like it's a run. Okay? Sound plays a part in the detail of the play. It's not just because, you understand what I'm saying? All those little details is why the play works. That's why the play works. Okay? Why do you guys think that the ball moves? Does anybody know? Why do you think the ball moves or it doesn't move up and down the football field? Okay? Because somebody didn't do their job. Somebody, right, didn't have the right gap responsibility. Someone's supposed to be playing inside technique or playing outside technique on his corner, right? Some of the linebackers didn't fill in the right gaps. So the ball moves, okay? Well, now they do their job and the ball doesn't move. The ball's moving because somebody is not doing their job on defense. The ball's not moving, right? Because somebody's not doing their job on offense. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? That's why the ball's moving. If everybody did their job, you could put the ball in the middle of the field and it'd stay there. It would never go anywhere until you punted it, okay? So, right, my big thing, okay, is you need to get the defense, right? You need to do your job. It's not about making plays. Do your job. You know, and I always do this, guys. This is some coaching shit for you. In the past, when you guys are head coaches or you guys that are coaching, during a film, you're watching a film and it says a pass protection. Stop the video when the ball just leaves the quarterback's hands and ask them, where is your guy? Is your guy? Did you do your job? Where is your guy in relationship to that kid with the quarterback with the ball in his hand? Same thing with the running plays. When the back gets to the read spot at the back, okay, whatever that read spot is, say it's a 3 technique on the right guard. When he gets to the original feet of the offensive lineman at the read spot of that back, okay, stop it and ask them, where's your guy? Where is your guy? Okay, did you do your job? Did you give that kid some place to go with the football? That's why the ball either moves or it doesn't move. Does that make sense to you guys? It seems really simple. Toughest fucking thing to teach. Let me tell you. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to look pretty. You'd be surprised, right? How we teach all the best looking techniques. Hey, kick step here, hold your body weight here, inside hand here. You know, running backs, you know, you do all these fancy drills to get you guys ready to play, right? And then you put the film on, may not look anything like it, okay? But the ball moves because somehow you did what you needed to do to get the guy blocked. Or you did what you needed to do to get the ball in the right insertion point, right gap, okay? All right, so it's the production of the play. You teach everything? Yes. You try to teach everything perfect? Yes. Is it going to look perfect? No. Okay, but it's the production of the play that allows the ball to move. And everybody's responsible for that. Coaches, players, everybody. Does that make sense to you guys? That's a kind of philosophical stuff, but that's what happens out there. That's what happens out there. And the guys that take the details and take all that stuff real serious, but they have that passion that they are going to block the guy somehow, or they're going to find a lane somewhere and make it work, right? They may cross over. They may put their head too far outside. They may have their helmet inside. The back may run the wrong fucking course entirely. Sometimes we don't block anybody and the back runs for 60 fucking yards. Sometimes we knock everybody down and they gain 2. What the fuck, guys? But that shit happens. That fucking shit just happens. That's a fucking play. Okay, that's going to happen to you. Okay? It's how you handle it. It's how you handle it. You know, it's going to be missed assignments. There's going to be pressures. There's going to be sacks. There's going to be minus yardage plays. That all happened to everybody that's played in the meeting, right? Everybody gave up a sack. Everybody had missed yardage plays. Some of you guys had fumbles, right? That all happens. Some of you guys dropped passes. That happens. It's how you deal with that after it happens. It's how you deal with it, okay?
Shit.
What happens? When the offensive lineman misses his block, he's the first guy to know that.
Mm-hmm.
A very first guy that knows that, okay? Right? He knows it before the coaches on the sideline know it, okay? Right? So what happens? Right? In practice, now the line coach starts screaming at the fucking guy, right? He starts all over your eyes, okay? Right? Now, the coordinator figures, well, I got to put my 2 cents in. So now he starts fucking yelling at you, right? Then the head coach says, well, I might as well say something to the fucking guy, right? And he puts his 2 cents in, and now you guys are afraid to take a step. You can't play like that, right? You can't do that. You can't be afraid to fail, right? It's how you handle it after it happens is what matters. You have to get it fixed, right? You have to get it fixed first, right? They always try to point, well, whose fault is it? Fuck that shit, right? Get it fixed, okay? Does that make sense? That's what the important shit is. That's what the good teams do. That's what happens out there, okay? And here's another thing for you young guys, right? I'm on a soapbox here. Maybe you don't want me to be, okay? But I try not to give my guys just one way to do it, okay? If you just get one way to do it, okay, right, and it ain't working, okay, then I just hurt you as a player, and I hurt the team. Because if it ain't working out there, okay, and you're getting your ass kicked and you don't have something else to go to, right, that's my fault. That's not your fault, okay? That's my fault, okay? Because you have to make the corrections out there. Because if you're in a 4-play drive, I cannot help you. I cannot help you. I'm a fan. I'm standing on the sideline and I'm watching the game. There's nothing I can do for you out there, right? You have to learn how to make those corrections right in the huddle after the play. Talk to your buddies. Communication, communication. It's like sometimes you have a fumbled snap, right? Right away, the center of the quarterback should be talking. Right away, right? What the problem is, okay? Fix it. Right?
Whilst communication is 80%, right? So what's the rest?
Right, 80% is communication. 20% is the technical side. What we're talking about tonight: footwork, hand placement, angles of the pocket, right? All the stuff that so you have all the best technique and you look good, but actually, right, wins the game is the 80%. Okay, what wins the game is what you do. And I'll give you a 3-day deal. What you do on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is a game for you on Sunday. Does that make sense? On Saturday. All right. What you do with those is the game. Write something to sit down. Your emotions, guys, your emotion is only going to carry you so far. You know how you get that rah-rah shit and you get in the tunnel, everybody's jumping up and down. Let's go fucking kill them, shoot them, kill them, chop their fucking heads off. You know, that only takes you so fucking far. That only takes you so far. Okay? The crowd noise only takes you so fucking far. It only takes you so far. Right? Because you're going to stop hearing the crowd. That's going to go away. Okay? So what wins the game? It's what you did on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's what wins the game. Right? That's what's going to happen. Right? That's what makes it work, guys. Right? How you study film, how you prepare, how you understand the running backs, what the line's doing, what the running backs are doing, the details of the play, details of the protections, what the defense is trying to do to you, the substitutions. Oh, Nichols on the field. I'll look for these blitzes. I'll look for a 32 look. Okay? Well, extra lineman, look for a triple. They ain't going to put an extra lineman on the field and play 32 defense. All right? That's not going to fucking happen. They're going to put an extra lineman on the field and play an even structured defense. Okay? They're going to put an extra lineman on the field. They're probably going to a covered look across the fucking board. Okay? So, I mean, that shit keeps you ahead of the defense. It keeps you ahead. It keeps you organizing your thoughts. It keeps you thinking. That's what wins the games for you guys. Did that make any sense? If you just do your job, I hate when I sit in the meetings and they say, you got to make a play. No. If you did your job, you'll make the fucking play because you'll beat the son of a bitch. Okay?
Wiles, man, you're getting me fired up, man. I think I'm gonna unretire. I'm gonna get
Well, I'm trying to give you shit that this is what really fucking happens. You know, this
right.
Reality. And I don't care if you're running the inside zone play, outside the power plays. I don't care if you're in fucking 60 protection or 80. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Right? The plays are the last fucking things I think about. I really do. You guys had me as coaches. Right? Ask my guys that work with me. The plays are really the last fucking things I talk about with them. They'll figure that shit out. Okay? It's all the other stuff we got to get figured out first. Okay? Does that make sense? So that's enough of that shit. Somebody else talk. I'm done.
Sweeter, you had a question.
No, not so much a question. I just want to jump on here real quick. A lot of memories being brought back by seeing all these faces here. So I'm going to start from the top here. If I bore everybody, I apologize. But Sut, man, congratulations on a great career, buddy. I'm proud of you. And
hey, man.
You're one of my favorites. That hair looks like hell, but I'm serious, man. You were one of my favorites. I have all the respect in the world for you. And you still told me to fuck off in the middle of the game one night. The story was he made a great play, blah, blah, blah. And right at the end of the quarter, I walk out and I said, that was a hell of a cut. He just ran 60 yards and got walked down simply. I said, a great cut. Had a water bottle in my hand. I said, if you had any speed, you'd have scored. Sut was bending over and he looks over and he goes, fuck you, give me the water. But Sut, man, I'm proud of you, man. You had a great career. Dom, I talk to you all the time, so I ain't gonna say much to you. Wiles, always good to see you. Same with you, Javon. We played against each other many times, never got a chance to coach you, but congratulations on a great career, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Coach.
Charbs, I talked to you quite a bit. Tell the family I said hello. Phil, best of luck in Toronto this year, buddy, okay?
Appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Hey, don't let RD give you – if RD gives you too much shit, you call me. I'll sit his ass straight, all right?
All right.
I did when he was a backup quarterback for me at fucking Winnipeg.
Oh, I know. Yeah. But, Phil, your family doing okay?
Yeah, everyone's good. All three kids are driving me crazy right now.
Well, welcome to my world. All right. Hey, Rut, man, same thing, buddy. Proud of you, man. You had a great career. Enjoyed being around you guys. And just for old time's sake, we got to give Mark Speckman thumbs up right there. All right. And
I appreciate you, Sweet.
Hey, man, if you guys ever need anything, let me know. And like I said, proud of all you guys, man. You guys were a fun group to be around and made life fun. Craig, it's good to see you there, Craig. I kind of keep up with you with your situation there. We're kind of in the same boat. If you ever need to talk about the health issues, whatnot, let me know, because we're both fighting this thing together, and my heart's with you. Okay.
Appreciate that, Chris. Same thing. Anytime you want to talk, not a problem.
All right. So
keep fighting.
Hey, I'm clear, man. They don't make them like they used to.
You look pretty damn good.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. But I don't want to take up everybody else's time. I just wanted to just say something to the guys here that meant a lot to me over the years. And Sharps, I appreciate you letting me get on here and just waste everybody's time for a few minutes, get all sentimental. But
You should have.
guys mean a lot to me.
You should have said more. You were just playing the mouse. You just playing the quiet guy tonight. You had
Hey, Bob, I'm always the quiet guy.
all kind of information to share, and you're keeping it. I can't believe that. A mushroom doing that shit. I can't.
That's because he knows that I've already asked him to do a full presentation, so he was keeping quiet tonight. So he did the presentation.
Hey, you just ship me a couple of Diet Mountain Dews. I'll go with whenever you want, buddy.
All right.
Hey guys, I'm going to give you this if you haven't gotten it already. The Cool Clinic, my offensive line clinic is, it's going to be virtual this year, and the website is cool, COOL coachesclinic.com. Okay, you know what I mean? And when we first put it up, okay, we put it up and we set up one tweak, okay, right, and I got 135 guys in 3 days, right? So this thing going to go crazy. It's going crazy already. Like, I got to keep adding spots onto Zoom. You know what I mean? So, and it's going international. It's not going in the States and Canada, Mexico. It's going all over the world. I got on an international Zoom clinic, and I didn't know really how many countries play football. There was 15 different countries on that international clinic. Spain, France, Germany, Italy, South Africa, right? Brazil, Japan, Canada. It was amazing. Scotland, England. So if you guys are interested, you get on there, you see all the speakers. Okay, have a blast.
Well, just before we wrap up, I do want to thank the panel again for jumping on. So I asked 6 guys to jump on, and all 6 of them got back to me and said, absolutely, anytime. So that's just the type of people you get a chance to meet in football. Love these guys. I know I taught Big O and Phil about the best chicken place in Montreal, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, Phil lived there. I ain't gonna.
I did. So they wanted to have big games for the O-line. They wanted Sutton Rutt to rush the ball well, so then they can get chicken the day after.
Yeah, man, that Portuguese chicken, huh?
Which place was that, Sharps?
So they can get chicken too.
You guys are like playing for me, because I got to with my guys, right? If you don't give up a sack, okay, and we win the game, then I take the whole line out to dinner.
And 5-9, man.
I take them out the 5-9. I don't take Joe Bar and Grill. They don't go to fucking Joe Bar.
I have guys in Maserati.
We can't do them.
Minivan.
Nah, Sean, we can't do that. We was at Benny Hanna every Friday with it, man. Nah.
Every Friday it was tradition.
We gotta treat our people.
Yeah, but I buy the pizza every Wednesday. I bought the pizzas, or I bought the shakes. I bought something during the week for the guys. I said,
what was that burger place?
Yeah,
training camp. That damn burger place every second day, man. Every 2 days you had us burger every time. It was good times.
Guys, here's another thing for you before I leave here. Okay. The chemistry that you guys create in your meeting rooms, okay, is more important than any of the X's and O's that I can draw on the board. Okay. That's more important. That chemistry with you and your players, the same thing with the head coaches and the staffs, and then that's going to filter down into the meeting rooms. That chemistry is more important than if you're running the inside, outside 60 minutes. That shit doesn't matter. Okay, players don't care how much you know. Players care how much you care about them. And as soon as they learn that you care about them and they can trust you and that you can make them better, right? So they could stay in the league one more year, because you don't make that amount of money bunching the ball in a fucking gym someplace, okay? As soon as they learn that they can do that with you, they'll do anything for you. They will play their ass off for you. They'll do it, right? That's what happens. That chemistry is more important than the X's and O's.
Mm-hmm.
Let me hit a quick story on that. So we were doing something in pass pro, whatever it was, and I didn't get a chance. We were hung up on something in the meeting, and I didn't get a chance to cover everything. So we're out on the field, and Sut's in there, and he messed up on something new that we were trying to do because we didn't get a chance to go over it in the meeting. So Sut's getting in trouble on the field, and I said, well, wait, I didn't get a chance to cover it with him. And then Sut turns to me and goes, don't ever do that again. And I was like, man, why is he mad at me? So I walk over to him, and he's like, don't do that. He goes, they'll get rid of you. They won't get rid of me. So that's the kind of guys you end up working with.
That's the chemistry I'm fucking talking about right there.
Yeah. When they got your back like that, you know you're in good shape.
Oh,
So, well, hey guys, I appreciate you guys all jumping on. It was a lot of fun talking football with you guys. Wish you all the best of luck in all the different things you're doing right now. Like I said, college coaches, make sure you guys are hitting up Big O and Dom for their guys. If you need any consulting on your clothing, Rut, he's your guy right there. And Sut, become the mayor of Montreal. There you go. That's your deal. Phil, you got a big season ahead of you. We'll be watching for you, man.
I appreciate it.
Wiles, always fun talking to you.
Guys, this will be I don't remember now, my 48th or 49th year in coaching, Pop Warner, junior high school, college, pro football, and the NFL and the CFL. Okay. It's, I could have been a commercial airline pilot, or I could have been a football coach, and I became a football coach. Okay. So it's one of the best sports to be involved with on the planet. The camaraderie, the passion you have for the game, the friendships that you make, they last forever. They last forever. I get calls from players that I had 15, 20 years ago. I get calls from players. I got 6 guys that were my interns or my graduate assistants or my assistant coaches that are now line coaches in the NFL. They call me up and say, hey, I got a problem. I get players that I coach for different teams that are, I'll give you one example. I got a player at the Kansas City Chiefs that I had, right? And he called me up and he says, hey, coach, I got a chance I can go over. And I said, go where? And he's telling me, I said, what, have you lost your fucking mind? I said, you got Patrick Mahomes, right? Why would you leave that fucking guy, right, to make another $1 million? You don't need to do that. Okay, you got enough money. Okay, there's a point in your career where the money doesn't matter. Okay, it's winning, right, and getting to the Super Bowl. That's what you're looking for. Same thing, I just had a guy go to the Baltimore Ravens. I said, Kevin, you don't need the money. Okay, you need to get to a spot where you may have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. And they win a lot of games over there. Okay, so there's a point in time you have to